All right, so we will get started. 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to another hard-working men and women willing to hand out open hearts that are handedly healing those who need healing and help to attain a wholesome existence. Uncle Gary likes to hang out at the Goodwill while looking for my next aunt episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm. God bless you.
God bless you. I almost forgot to say my name.
Yeah.
Like just now, I swear. Dude, so polar plunge.
Yeah, you were not a fan up until we did it.
Dude, that sucked. If I'm just being completely honest with you, that sucked.
Yeah, we show up and Brian's like, this lake is completely frozen. What?
They had firefighters out there walking on the ice to break it.
And then that guy brought him a rake so they could rake the ice.
Yeah, bro. It was like, what are we doing, dude? Why did I sign up for this? Next year, I'm just donating because it's a great cause. For anyone who doesn't know, the Polar Plunge is, they raise money. They've been doing it for like 20 years, I think is what they said.
Oh, wow.
This is our first year doing it. But like for 20 years, they basically just raise all this money for the Special Olympics. And then once you raise X amount of dollars, you get to jump into this frozen lake. Like it's like you get to, you know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't even know why I said it like that. It was
things
terrible.
that suck sometimes, you know?
Dude, it was not great.
Builds character.
Anyways, dude, do me a favor. Hit him with that intro.
Joining us this week in the Days Grimm shoebox is Courtney Johnson. How are you, man?
Courtney,
I'm great.
What's up, sir?
Thank you for having me.
How
That's
are
our
you today,
pleasure.
man?
I'm blessed, man. Feeling good.
That's important.
So for the people that don't know, you own and run Young and Established. You've been doing it for about 10 years now.
10 years, man. It's been a journey, but yeah, that 10-year mark is amazing.
And I guess for people that don't know, in 2020 you got a warehouse or like a
Community center.
community center, and then
Yeah.
inside there you've got like washer, dryers, food pantry, computers, free Wi-Fi, just basically any tool that anybody could need to help.
Man, every resource that you can think of, I pretty much think we have in our community center, which 2020, we all know was a crazy year.
It was bonkers.
Yeah, it was crazy, but we opened up a community center during COVID and just really hit the ground running. We were doing literally everything we possibly could for people in our community, whether it was food or just the resources that you named. We opened up our community center to all the families in the community.
Yeah, that's
all I was going to say is that 2020 was so insane. It was like an episode of Seinfeld. You know what I mean? And it was like when Kramer comes like kicking the damn door in and is
shaking his way.
That's all 2020 was Kramer coming through your front door, dude.
It was a lot going on, man.
It was bonkers, man. But
scary times.
yeah, so every week we like to do this Death of the Week. That's kind of how we open the show. But before we get to that, so we kind of know who Young and Established is, but who is Courtney? If you had to give like a 60-second...
like an elevator pitch of yourself.
Who are you?
An elevator pitch of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just a guy that wants to do good in the world, make a difference. A father, a husband, a brother, son, great friend, I hope, to most. And if that's my elevator pitch, that's kind of how I would put it. Somebody that wants to do some good, man, and that's it.
And you're doing it. You're making it happen, man. The community needs it, and the stuff that like I see you guys do from social media, anyways, has been like, wow.
Appreciate that.
And that's yeah, dude. I know like the tip of the iceberg, and I'm hoping after we get to talk today. Obviously, Thomas knows you better than I do, but after we sit down and talk today, I'm going to know more about you, and I'm very excited to do so. But have you had a chance to listen to any of the episodes before of the Days Grimm?
I got to check out a couple. I really, as I said before, I didn't get to do a deep dive, but I did get to check out your guys' work. And again, I'm just happy to be on the show, man.
Dude,
so I appreciate the opportunity.
Stellar. So you're aware of the Death of the Week. Have you made it that far into one of the episodes?
I know a little bit about it.
Okay.
But I'll let you go ahead.
So the death of the week is we like to celebrate every week how your life could actually be a whole hell of a lot worse. So the death of the week, we like to go over some poor soul who died in a very unfortunate way. All names are bleeped out and edited out to show respect for the families. So that being said, let's roll into this week's death of the week. Florida man, 73, dies after crashing homemade plane into tree, authorities say. A 73-year-old Florida man died Tuesday after crashing a single-engine homemade plane he was piloting, authorities say. The crash happened at about 3:30 p.m. after traded planes with another pilot for a Taylor monoplane earlier in the day, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office says. Quote, on attempting to take off, he lost control and struck a tree, end quote, the sheriff's office says. Was taken to the hospital where he died from unspecified injuries. Witnesses said taxied the plane for several times at the Blue Ridge Flight Park Airport until he got comfortable with it. Once he got comfortable, he headed south on the airstrip and planned to fly home to Venice, Florida, the sheriff's office says. Quote, however, the plane did not appear to climb into the air and suddenly veered left for unknown reasons, hitting the tree, end quote. The National Transportation Safety Board and Federal Aviation Administration are investigating.
So, I'm kind of confused. So this guy made a plane and then traded it, or
Okay, so
traded for a homemade plane?
he had this Taylor, right? Hold on, where did it go?
Type of plane.
Yeah, he had a Taylor monoplane, which is just like a lot like Joe Green's plane, just a single motor, whatever plane.
Right.
And then he trades it with this other guy who they don't even say his name. And that one was like made out of like bird bones, paper mache, and like airplane glue.
Right. So when he says he taxied it, that just means like
Drives it around
right
on the ground.
Right.
So drives it around the ground for a while, gets comfortable, tries to take off. Listen, guys, Florida man, we all kind of know at this point that Florida man's going to do what Florida man's going to do. It's hard to keep him out of the news. But I feel like I'm not trying to fly a homemade plane.
I mean, at least I don't know, man.
That's a why? Why?
You've never thought about like trying to be a Wright brother?
No, dude.
Build your own plane?
No, that's
I'm
insane.
with you. I wouldn't try that either, man.
That's
I like to try new things, but I don't think
You know
I
any
would try
pilots?
that. I do, actually.
You do? Have you flown with them?
I haven't.
It's weird.
Haven't had that chance yet.
We know a pilot in Joe Green.
He's actually stationed in Germany right now.
Dude, and he's the nicest guy. He actually came on the show, and you can reference what episode was
Right
he?
there,
Yeah,
107?
97. Joe Green, really great dude. But anyways, this guy, like when you fly in one of those like single motor planes, dude, it's like riding a Mountain Dew can. Dude, it's just like you're so susceptible to death. Like I feel like I don't know, like.
See, I skydived before, so I've been in a smaller.
It's like that. Plane. It's that same kind of plane.
What was that like?
It was amazing.
Really?
10,000 feet. I'll do it again.
Will Smith said after he skydived, he got on the ground and then went and picked up both his kids and made them go skydive.
I would definitely probably do that too if my daughter
was older.
I would like for her to try it out. That adrenaline, man, it lasted for like 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
I'm going in April. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm going St. Louis Skydive is where I'm going.
It's fun, man.
Who did you jump with out of curiosity?
I think it was outside of Louisville. I can't remember the actual but my wife now, we both went and we enjoyed it. It was amazing.
Did you have any, like, I'd be scared.
Yeah, I was definitely scared, man. 10,000 feet.
Push me out.
But we were up there. There's no going back, man.
Right.
And that's something that I'm sure we can probably get into it later. But every year I do something that I'm
uncomfortable with.
For. Yeah, uncomfortable. I don't want to say scared, but yeah, scared, uncomfortable.
It's good to put yourself in those situations, man.
Have to.
Yeah, it really is pretty important. And that's one thing that, like, I never had that as a kid when I was younger. Like that perseverance, you know what I mean? But then joining the military is what gave me that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then ever since then, like it's just intrinsic, like I'm used to doing things that like I've never done or like I'm uncomfortable with. Like, so that's a really good quality, a really good trait in a human being to have. It shows like perseverance and that you're able to kind of navigate through life, which is already upsetting and terrible most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I kind of started that a few years ago. It just helps with me personally. It just helps with everything in life, any hard decision or something I feel like I'm going through. It doesn't get any, crazier than jumping out of a plane, swimming with sharks, all kinds of stuff. Man, I got a list of things that I've been able to do over the years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So Courtney, are you from Evansville?
I'm from here, born and raised. Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Graduated from Bossy, 07.
Nice.
Dang, dude, Bossy. They just recently started putting together a damn football team, dude.
When I was there, we wasn't good either. But
well, they're starting to get one from what I heard.
That's a good look for them.
Yeah, they're trying to compete with Memorial right down the road.
Did you play sports in high school?
I did. I played football, basketball, ran track, but basketball was my go-to. I did enjoy football. I went to college for football, but basketball we went to state actually and lost. But
what college did you go to after high school?
I went to Kentucky Wesleyan and then I transferred to Indiana State.
And you played basketball in Kentucky?
I played football there, but just a semester, man. Didn't like it.
Yeah,
college kind of sucks the fun out of it. It was definitely a business.
It's a job, yeah.
It's a job, yeah.
Do you think sports helped you with like routine and schedule a bit growing up?
Of course, just that discipline. I already had it, but sports helped with that. Getting up early to work out or just whatever you needed to do. Sports takes a lot of time and commitment. And even after not playing sports, I still, have that discipline.
You think sports helped, I guess should we rewind a little bit and touch on like what was life like growing up or...
Oh yeah, you like totally blasted past. So like
that was me. That's my fault. I started diving into stuff.
No, blame it on Thomas. It's completely his fault.
Yeah, I got full blown ADHD. It's hard to stay.
This guy sitting next to me is a bag of trash. Just so you're clear. So let's rewind to Bossy.
Yeah.
So you're 14 to 18. Mm-hmm. What do those years look like for you?
Man, there was a lot of crazy things that happened, good and bad. A lot of memories, but overall it was great. Of course, sports. I have a huge family, a lot of good memories, and
how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, I only have one older brother, but I have a lot of cousins.
And you're around
aunties,
them
uncles.
a lot.
Yeah, we're around a lot. But growing up, man, my life was pretty great. I mean, I really can't complain. Of course, things happen, over the years, but I always wanted to make some money. That was one thing I was known for. So whether it was selling candy, cutting grass, throwing parties, I was doing a little bit of everything growing up. And as far as being a student, I was okay. I could definitely make better grades, but I just did just enough because I wasn't big on school.
I always
like
find that interesting, like the people that have the entrepreneur drive, like when it comes to school, like we could have probably applied ourselves a little better, but we were too busy doing real world stuff, in my mind, you know what I mean? Getting that out of school knowledge.
Most definitely. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, like my high school years, I like barely graduated high school. Like barely.
Yeah.
Like so close to I had to retake English 10, like the second semester.
I mean, I took Spanish 1 3 times and I still graduated early.
Man, yeah, I sucked at Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you on that.
If you ask this guy, he's fluent. He took Spanish 1 3 times.
I know the basics.
Fluent. I'm like, no, dude, you're special.
I don't even know the basics, and I'm probably right there with you as far as how many times I had to take it.
In Mexico, they call my boy here especial.
Do they?
You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know how to say. Como se dice slow in Spanish? This guy,
man.
So you had a pretty good childhood. You're used to hard work, hustling out there, trying to make $1, right?
Most definitely.
So where do you think you got that drive from? That hard work, and because I don't think that you're just born with the understanding of okay, this is an American dollar, and this is what it's worth, and this is what I have to do to get it. Where do you think you get that from?
Man, my pops, for sure. He always worked 2 or 3 jobs growing up. He is a retired firefighter. 35 or 36 years he put on, but I always had other jobs. He worked at Sears growing up, and after that, again, he was a firefighter, but he had, man, I don't know how many jobs he had. I know he always worked at the church, O'Reilly's. My dad always had 2 or 3 jobs, man, but the whole cutting grass thing is I got that from him.
Okay.
I just saw, this is not really hard. Just get out there early before it gets too hot, cut a few yards, make a lot of money. And plus I get to spend time with him. So it was a win-win for me. But yeah, I think kind of like what you said, I don't think people are just born hustlers. I mean, you
kind of
your environment, and then just kind of who you're around.
Yeah, you get it from your surroundings. And you have that, well, it's not even really your saying, but it's a popular saying. You know what I mean? Like, show me your
show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's who you surround yourself with that really kind of sets the pace, or like, the standard of the life that you're going to lead. So you mess around with dudes doing drugs and goofing around and, pissing off this perfectly, good life they have, you're probably going to fall into that same trap. Play on words there, actually.
Yeah, the trap.
But really, though, all jokes aside, like, or if you surround yourself with that, people that want to do good and help others, or, you're probably going to do good and help others. Or if you surround yourself with hardworking folks, like your dad, you know what I mean? Like, you're probably going to be one of those hardworking folks. So that's interesting, man. And shout out to your dad for, instilling that hustler in you.
So
That's
after
important.
high school, you go to Kentucky. Do you finish school there?
No, so I have a crazy college experience. So I went to Kentucky Wesleyan for a semester, didn't really enjoy it, so I wanted to transfer straight to Indiana State to continue to play football. But since it was a private school, I couldn't go straight to Indiana State, so I had to come back home.
Sycamores is a private school?
No, Kentucky Wesleyan was, so the credits wouldn't transfer.
Okay. I was about to say.
So I went to Ivy Tech for a semester. You know how that is, coming back home after.
Right.
So that wasn't the best, but Ivy Tech, they treated me good. Then I was there for a semester, left there, went to Indiana State, stayed there, man, 3 years.
Did you
and
play
then
sports
left.
there?
The coach got fired. They wanted me to come. So I was like, I'm done with sports. I just want to, be a regular student, man, and enjoy college. So I didn't play. I was supposed to, didn't play, stayed there for like 3 years, maybe more. Left there, came back home and finished up at USI. So I had credits, man, all over the place.
All over the place.
But I tell people, man, that experience, I'm a people person. So I network, communicate with a lot of the folks that I met, in college. But then also in high school, too, I still keep in contact with people. So, yeah, I don't look at it as anything bad. Now, the debt was crazy. It was all over the place.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, but
What'd you get your degree in?
So I got my degree in general studies. A lot of people don't know what general studies is. But when I left Indiana State, it was public relations.
Okay.
So when I came home, they were like, the credit situation, you'll probably have, a couple more years. I'm like, a couple more years after going to all these different schools, I'm not doing it. So what's the best option to get me out of here the quickest? And general studies allows you to pick classes that you feel, fit what it is you want to do. So I was able to pick a nonprofit class, a marketing class, which I enjoyed it. College was actually pretty cool when I was able to pick
what you wanted to learn.
What I wanted to learn. Even though you pick a major, you still, probably got to take classes you really don't want. But yeah, it was pretty cool. My experience was different. I mean, I went to 4 different colleges, but again, just the people
that
I
network
met.
you picked up along the way, that's
amazing.
That's worth the debt.
I was definitely.
So, which out of the 4 was your favorite, if you don't mind? So we got Kentucky Wesley. Am I saying
Kentucky Wesleyan.
Wesleyan,
Yeah.
and Ivy Tech, and more Indiana State, Sycamores, and then you went to, what was the 4th one?
I went to USI.
Oh yeah,
University
finished
of
up at
Southern,
USI. Which, shout out to them, D1 basketball school now.
They're doing it big.
They got like
shout out to Swope.
yeah, dude, they're crushing it, man.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them. But out of the 4, which do you think was your favorite? Ivy Tech, obviously.
Yeah, Ivy Tech is cool, man.
Ivy Tech's dope. But
Yeah, they got some good stuff going on. But I would say experience wise, man, and just what I learned in Indiana State, it was amazing. And shout out to USI. I do a lot with personally. I do a lot, and with our nonprofit, we do a lot. But Indiana State was just different. That experience was amazing.
If somehow Larry Bird winds up stumbling on this podcast, I'd love to have you in. That being said, man, so Indiana Sycamores, huh? There's a lot of history there.
Oh,
I've never seen a campus or been there. What
Completely
town is it
different.
even in?
Terre Haute. So
Terre Haute,
it's
okay.
I haven't been there in a while, but even after I left and went back like 3 or 4 years later, completely different campus. So I'm
Really?
hearing now it looks way different than when I was there. But yeah, it was just overall just a great school, man. I enjoyed all of it.
You think they got a lot of ghosts?
I have no idea. They might. I don't know. I didn't experience any of that.
They did at U of E. I'll tell you that.
A lot of ghosts?
I went to U of E for 3. I finished my degree at U of E. I did Ivy Tech actually for a semester, and then I did my last 3 years at U of E. They got ghosts, dude.
Never heard that.
Yeah,
I don't want to see any of that, so I'm cool.
Dicey.
Yeah.
Dicey.
When I went to Ivy Tech, I just played people in foosball for money. Skipped class.
We all got something in common, man. Ivy Tech, man.
But-
Shout out to Ivy Tech.
So what happens when you get your degree at USI?
So I actually backtracked, man. I started a lot of what I'm doing at Indiana State. Again, I was still throwing parties, but just made a name for myself on and off campus. I was literally in everything, man. I was Big Brothers, Big Sisters, started my own mentoring program, joined a fraternity, and I was just everywhere on campus. So a lot of people knew me from a lot of different things.
What was that like your first time like mentoring a kid? Because that's kind of like if you think about it, you know what I mean? Like you're a college kid and then you're going to hang out with an elementary, middle school, high school kid, you know, that like I feel like I would have a little anxiety about that. You know what I mean? Picking up a young brother or sister basically to put underneath your wing.
No, I enjoyed it. Actually, now when you get to build that relationship and just kind of hear what they're dealing with and what's going on, that's, you know, that kind of opens your eyes a little bit about what's really going on in this community. And I'm not from there, but I was there long enough to kind of, you know, get involved and get invested. But I enjoyed it. And that's, you know, some of the reason why I came back home and started doing what I was doing. But I went to USI and wanted to stay involved. And it wasn't a lot to me that was going on in certain areas that I grew up in. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to join and get active. And,
Right.
you know, I did join a lot of different organizations and I just felt something was missing. So I started mentoring at Glenwood and Lodge. I mentored 11 kids.
Okay.
Wasn't trying to mentor 11 kids, wanted to mentor one kid at each school. Somehow, how it worked out, man, the teachers brought more kids than what I asked for and said, you know, pick one. And I'm like, I can't, you know, with these kids standing in front of me say, I want you, and then send the other ones back. But I ended up picking all 11, and I got 8 from Lodge and 3 from Glenwood, and I mentored them for 9 years.
When that happened, like you go home and you're just like, man, I'm over my head, or are you like, I gotta adjust my layout, my program?
Man, I was stressed. I was in college and working 2 jobs, and then now I have 11 kids. So my mentoring was a little bit different. I know when people hear mentoring, they think, you know, once a month you go to the school and eat lunch. No, it was 3 or 4 days a week. And then it got to the point where, you know, I'm picking kids up from school or taking them to practice or bringing food. It was all kinds of stuff you never knew.
Which is huge because, I mean, like, you know, I have a son and then, like, we got, like, split custody with his mom or whatever. But there's, like, even one kid, that's so many different sporting events you got to go to. And, like, to make it all happen out of your work window. Like, for some parents, that's, especially, you know, working 2 to 3 jobs, like single moms paying, you know, for bills and stuff, like they can't take the time off work to take their kids to these activities. No,
and that was the hardest part, just, you know, realizing, as I mentioned, I have a huge family. So I was the guy that had, you know, 15, 20 people at a game, grandparents, mother, father. I mean, everybody was at the game. So that's just how our family unit has always been. But to see kids that don't have anybody, and I tell everybody too, when I first got started, not all of them, but a few of them, you know, are you coming back next week? Said that for like 2 or 3 months because the trust, you know, a lot of people have let them down. So just to keep asking me if I'm coming back, I'm like, man, they don't have, you know, a lot of trust in people. But, you know, to be able to do that, it opened up my eyes to a lot of things. That's what's going on in our city, in our community. And that's hence to the reason why we have so much in our community center. I had kids that dealt with hygiene issues, being bullied, suicidal, just for not having clean clothes. And then I had kids that, you know, maybe didn't have access to food, could only eat 1 meal a day, and that was at school. So when you hear those kind of things, I'm like, man, I didn't think this stuff was happening in Evansville. I mean, you hear about it, but seeing it is different, and dealing with it is different too, because there's a lot of issues that we have obviously everybody has issues in the community, but when you start to do stuff and try to fix it, then you see how hard it is and what people are really dealing with.
So when do you think you came up with like the name Young and Established? Like, was this in college still?
Yeah, it was still in college actually, and I was leaving. It's a whole story, man, but I was actually leaving Terre Haute, and there's a whole backstory with that, but left Terre Haute for a reason, and wanted to just, again, keep the momentum going, but I reached out to my family, a few of my cousins and my brother, and said, hey, I want to come up with a name for something positive. I've always been big on branding and things like that, but I didn't want it to be, oh, that's Courtney's event, that's this, that's that, because that's kind of what it was with the parties. That's Courtney's party. So I was like, man, I want to create a movement, where everybody felt like they could be a part of it. So Members Only Club, which, that was already taken, is what I started with. And it was already taken. So, and people felt like it was exclusive, that they couldn't be a part of it. So when I shot that text out, a lot of, different names came about, a lot of trash names, man, terrible names. But
do you remember any of them?
Man, I don't. And I always get asked that when I say that. I don't. They were trash though, just know that. But
not good.
Yeah, not good at all, man. And somebody one of my cousins reached out and said Young and Established. And I was actually watching A&E at the time. So I don't know if you see I ain't gonna take my hat off, I got these headphones on. If you see the logo, it looks like, something that you're familiar with. And that was one thing I did actually learn in college as far as branding.
Like in a marketing class?
Yeah. But I wanted to make sure I couldn't get sued for that, because obviously I just took the A out, replaced it with a Y.
Right.
But it's a logo people are familiar with. So even if they probably never seen it, people
still kind of get, hey, that man, internal relation.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that before. And I'm like, well, maybe you have seen Y&E around, but sometimes, 9 times out of 10, maybe they probably saw the A&E logo. But yeah, that's how the name came about, man. Somebody in the fam said you're young, which I don't feel like I was established at the time, but
you were making an establishment.
Hey, there you go. So
yeah,
stuck with it.
You don't necessarily have to have a bunch of stuff to be established. You're establishing your name.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's I like the name. I like the name a lot. One question I did have before I took off a second ago, we were talking about, like, you always hear about the misfortune and like essentially the underbelly of Evansville, like this kind of forgotten group or whatever. And then you said it's different when you deal with it in person or whatever. So like one question I had was, is it difficult to see that kind of stuff and then watch Evansville, like municipally, go and spend $4 million on a new downtown statue or something?
I mean, it depends. I mean, some things I do understand, why, but when you're doing community work, there's so many things that I feel like, money could go towards. And if you're not out here, like I said earlier, you don't really see the issues. And if you're not doing this work every single day, like I can name, you're talking $4 million, I can give you a whole list of things that money could go to really better our community. But it can get to you sometimes. And we don't even really focus on the money stuff. I think, I don't know if you've seen it, but we made a post the other day because we just got over, $450,000 coming to our nonprofit, which is major. We haven't seen any money like that. We don't get a lot of city funding. And to be able to do the work that we do and how we've been able to do it, people assume, and they kind of compare us to the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA, which to me speaks volumes. This is a grassroots organization.
Other than you,
man.
They're the only other company that people hear about doing this kind of thing or similar to it.
Yeah, YMCA and Boys and Girls Clubs. That's
but you got to think about how long they've been doing it, and their budget is completely different.
I mean,
than ours.
YMCA is is it worldwide or statewide?
No, it's nationwide.
Nationwide.
It's Young Men's Christian Association, and then they also have a Young Women's Christian Association.
But their networks, the entire,
it's huge.
Yeah, and I think they started in the 30s. or the
it's
20s.
well over
like a long time ago.
And I even think like community, like the word community now versus 20 years ago, two completely different things. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you mean?
like in 20 years ago, community was neighbors were outside with neighbors. You know, like if a neighbor needed help, like my neighbor, you know what I mean? Like if I'm out of town for a week, you know what I mean? Like my neighbor will come over and mow my grass. No, like didn't even ask for it. You know, I come back into town and it's like mowed, you know what I mean? Or like, hey, we're grilling out. You want a burger? Or, you know, like anything along those lines was like the community back then.
What's
you
the
know,
community
or like,
now?
Like more involved then. But like community now is like, if you're not in my bubble or inside my horse blinders, like then, you know, I'm not dealing with it.
It sounds to me like we're not even like if we operate off of your definition of community contemporarily, it sounds like there's really not a community anymore. That's what it sounds like.
Other than like a physical community, you got social communities. You know what I mean, like social media and stuff. I would say, but like, I just feel like people like if they're not seeing it on their feed, they don't care.
And that's true. What do you think about what say you to that, Courtney? Do you think social media is almost obviously it's a medium that we all have to function with inside of if we want to get the ball rolling on anything, you know, Facebook, TikTok, IG, whatever, you've got to have it in front of people. You've got to put it in front of them to make an existence of this thing you care about. But also at the same time, do you feel as though like it could also be like degrading our communities now?
Social media has been huge for us because it just helps us get the word out. And I remember when I first got started with it, not everybody, but you'll have some people that just find anything to complain about. Why are they posting so much? Why are they, you know, we're not putting people on blast. That's one thing that we'll never do. Right. But to get the word out about what we're doing has been huge for us because, again, it goes back to we don't get the money that other organizations may get that have been around way longer and that are, you know, nationwide organizations. So for us, I go back to the branding. This is something that I've loved to do. I love the brand. I love the market. And that's something that I do full time as well outside of Young and Established. But, and I feel like it's a gift. It's something that not a lot of people can do and know how to do. So it keeps me, you know, with the job because a lot of people pay me to do marketing for them. But just to get the word out about, you know, things and what we do as an organization has been huge over the past 10 years because that's how we've been able to get, you know, funding and help. But just like that $450,000 I was just talking about, this is, you know, a state grant. They saw what we were doing and reached out.
Right.
But of course, well, they didn't reach out until after. But of course, they look at the work that you're doing. If you're not doing the work, right, you're not going to get anything. So for them to, you know, kind of.
What was the early days of Young and Established like? Like you get out of college, you've got several kids you're mentoring with, and I assume you make it a non-for-profit probably as soon as you get out of college.
No, it was actually a few months after. This is stuff too I had to learn. I didn't know anything about, you know, 501c3, getting a 501c3, and you know, trademarks, getting your name and all of that. I'm just assuming.
What helped you put that together? Did you reach out to the Indiana Small Business?
No,
you just did
I had
it
to figure
yourself?
it out on my own. Yeah, I did actually reach out to a lot of people, man, that was kind of in this lane that I wanted to get in, and didn't get a lot of help, man, when I was first getting started. I was told to not reinvent the wheel. You know, we have enough nonprofits, but I'm like, they're not doing
enough.
Yeah, they're not doing well. It ain't even just that.
I mean, there's so much you can't.
Yeah, they're not doing stuff in certain areas. And I felt like there's a ton of podcasts out here, right? But you two felt like you could do it a different way, your own way.
Right.
And that's exactly how I felt. And
100%.
I'm like, I don't want anybody to tell me what I can and can't do, man. And
so what was the early days like for you?
Yeah, hard. Just trying to figure it out. Not really knowing what I was doing, but just pouring into the community any way that I could. So if there was a situation where we knew an area needed food, okay, we'll put a food drive together. One of the first events that we did was actually, I remember going to a park that I grew up in. It's Woodland now, but it used to be Parkside Terrace. And I just went and dropped one of my kids off and was like, man, let me just walk around and check out, you know, what's going on.
The environment.
It was, you know, a lot of negative things that I don't remember as a kid that I saw. And I'm like, this is where,
Expand on that a little bit. What do you mean negative things?
Man, potholes, trash, graffiti. There were a few, you know, crack needles that were on the actual playground. The playground just kind of had been, it was in bad shape. And, you know, to grow up, I grew up there all my life. And to go back and just to see how it looked, I'm like, man, we gotta do something about this. And that was, again, how I think. I'm not going to wait for anybody to do anything. I'm going to do it. So I did make a post, which goes back to social media. I took pictures, made a post, and a week later had over 70 people come out on a Saturday morning and come out and pick up trash and clean up the whole area. And that's kind of when it clicked, like, man, people really listen. People follow. You know, if I put it out there, I think people will support it. And Y&E just kept, you know, growing from there.
That's also, so that brings up an intriguing point about, so like drug usage in Evansville has slowly kind of like been on the climb. It's gotten worse and worse. You know, we're seeing more and more fentanyl overdoses every day. One question I have is that, what do you think about, there is a program where like they can hand out certain materials, like I'm pretty sure I learned about this at U of E, but they like hand out certain materials like clean syringes and stuff like that to people that are going to use drugs, and they do that like downtown, well, somewhere. I don't know where exactly. I don't want to speak out of my knowledge, but there's somewhere in Evansville that they do that. Like, what do you think about that? Or is that like a bad deal, or should...
I've never even heard of it. To be honest,
I learned about it in college, and it just kind of blew my mind that like we do that. I don't know.
Yeah, and they got places that give out Narcan and stuff for free.
That's important. I agree with that for sure. But anyways, I thought that was a weird.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, just a weird thought that, you know, whenever you get into like these different funding things, whenever we're talking about like ways that money could be spent differently in Evansville, it's like I just think about all the different things, like keeping you in my foresight, and then I think about like, oh, well, you know, we just spent X amount of dollars to redo the spheres down on the, you know, downtown waterfront area. It's like, that's $100,000 that could have gone somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's kind of how I think about it, but I'm kind of a negative person. So
it also depends though.
I have like a very pessimistic look on life.
But some things you gotta like, as a city as a whole, like after Katrina, when wiped out New Orleans, they only got X amount of money, and they took X amount of money and they rebuilt downtown. But because they rebuilt downtown, that brings more money in. So, but like, I mean, our spheres on the waterfront isn't going to do something along those lines.
I was bringing up some arbisoon example, but you know what I mean. Like,
so you do a few projects, and then after you kind of make this like name for a community, like how soon are you trying to find a building to like house this community in?
To be honest, in the early stages, I wasn't. We were actually doing it out of the schools. So we were going to Bossy, Lodge, Glenwood, and going into the schools because we didn't have a facility. Right. But I felt, you know,
what was
meeting
that
them
like,
there.
Getting connected with school? Like, because I've seen schools have to do like I just finished some chess movie about like this guy and like he got out of jail or whatever, and then was like a janitor at the school, and then like they had him teach detention where he was like teaching kids chess in detention or whatever. And then
teach chess.
That's awesome. And the school found out that like he had a criminal record and they had to let him go. But then like he just opened his own like out to the side, and like kids came after school and he taught them, and they like made a difference.
Sick, dude.
But I was gonna say like I assume going into a school, like you got to like kind of maneuver a certain way to get it in.
Yeah, you do. But again, it goes back to relationships. I'm not saying I was always the best student, but I had a lot of great relationships with teachers and individuals that were still
they just showed hometown love
system.
back.
Yeah, so of course you got to do a background check, but I graduated from Bossy. I went to Lodge, but then one of the principals at both schools, they taught at Bossy, and then they became the principal at Lodge and Glenwood. So the relationship was there. They knew, you know, the work that I was trying to do at the time, but it wasn't really hard to get into the schools. Plus they needed it. They needed mentors. They needed
how many of these kids you think you stay in contact with now?
Every single one of them.
Even the first 11?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I'm not saying everybody, you know, made the best decisions, but for them to know that they can always call on me no matter what, that's a big deal.
That's huge, especially to them.
How old are they now?
Man, 21, 22.
So these are like adults now.
They're adults. Yeah, some went to college. Some, you know, started a family.
You forget, I don't want to expose your age, but like you do forget that like we're getting old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild to think that like you were back there helping them out when they were just like.
But it's cool to
Crazy.
think about
I know,
how many
man.
different people's lives you got to affect, alter the course of maybe, and like just by bringing a positive influence or a safe space, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. And again, I tell people, man, I'm not perfect. So I think some people that, see what I do in the community may look at me as I know a lot of people might say a role model, but I want to let people know, like, I'm not perfect, man. There's things that I'm sure I do that you may not agree with, or things I may say that you don't agree with. But how I look at things, man, I don't judge. And I really, if somebody is respectful, shows me respect, I don't really have, too many issues. But again, just that role model, the definition of a role model, everybody to me has their own definition. This person is supposed to be like this and do that. And I'm like, don't put me in that box, because I never want to be put in a box, because, again, nobody's perfect. But I think sometimes some people may try to put you in that because of, just the great work that you do and some of the things that you may be attached to. But yeah, I never want people to try to put me on that pedestal.
So I'm very thankful that you don't judge, because you're sitting in front of 2 large sacks of trash today. Just so we're very clear. I'm a piece of trash.
The first few years of Young and Established, you're helping out in the community with projects like revamping playgrounds, basketball courts. You're mentoring. What happens next?
So we done that for a long time, but again, I have a passion for helping people. So, man, it doesn't matter what it is. If I feel like there's a need, then we jump in head first. So fast forward to COVID. This was obviously a crazy time for everybody, but the first thing I thought of was, man, how many families are not going to have access to food?
That free meal a day.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
With schools being shut down and stuff, like, these kids aren't getting that one meal now.
Not even just kids, just families that I know that just struggle because of doing community work. And if it's hard for me,
right?
I have, family all over. I have, maybe different resources than others. I was stressing. So I can only imagine, someone else that has it a little harder than me, what they're dealing with. So schools, again, really didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. But at the time, they were doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where they were giving out food. So I was there every day, and not a lot of people could get there. And I'm like, we guys didn't think about this.
Right.
But again, it was just so quick that people had to make things happen.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get to the food. So I'm like, why don't I just take the food to people in the community? And that's kind of how that took place. So every single day, not just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, even Thursday, when people wasn't giving out food, I would try to find, whether it was restaurants or whoever. And a lot of people were just throwing stuff away. So I would pick that stuff up and then take it to individuals that I knew.
That was going to be my next. So my first question, who was helping get the food ready before you had gone to restaurants? Like, who was handing out the food
school system.
Initially? The school system was? So like basically taking their lunch resources and pushing it out to the public?
Yeah, so I don't remember everything, but as far as how they were getting the food, but every school had basically access to food that they was getting. I'm assuming from the government, but
right.
They had options, but they couldn't do it every day. So certain schools would do it, and other schools would,
rotate.
do it on different days. Yeah, they would rotate it out. So I would just go to those schools because every school was having the same issue. A lot of kids couldn't get there, obviously, because they don't have a ride.
So the idea of a building never popped into your head until COVID started?
It was kind of, we wanted to have our own space so we could do our own thing. You mentioned, trying to maneuver with the schools. I don't think they were strict, but again, they have rules.
Right.
And just how we teach and how we do things is sometimes completely different. But it was in our heads, but at that time, we had already kind of had a facility. We were already looking. We had already started renting, actually, but there was nothing in there. We had computers and different things.
And
but
your aesthetics inside of there are cool. They're attractive. They're vibrant. You know what I mean? They I think they make a lot of people feel at home or like in a safe, creative space.
And that's the point. That's what we wanted. The couches, the colors, just the environment. I mean, it doesn't feel like any other community center that I've ever been in, not just Indiana, just period. Just everything that we've been able to put in there, and the kids, the love, you can feel it when you come in there. It's a family. It's not, I'm hanging out with these kids. It's a family, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, like if you look in the background there of those, like the 2 kids right there.
This is I was trying to find it. So is this the brick and mortar here? Is this your place?
Yeah.
Okay, that's neat, man. So you got some pool tables, some
We got a little bit of
foosball.
everything. A
Dang,
little bit of
dude.
everything in there.
I love
those
that.
2 guys right there are amazing. They intern with us from New Tech, and their family now. That's Ben on the left, and then that's John.
Damn.
Super cool.
Ben and John. Dude, and I love the carpet. The carpet's very, it takes me back to my childhood. I don't know why. There's something retro about that, and I dig it.
The building used to be a Premiere Video.
That's what it is, and I was gonna say it reminds me of like an arcade or something. I couldn't put my finger on it. Video store. I like that though.
So what was that like, getting the building and like having to piece it together? I mean, like how did you find to do the artwork and stuff for your walls? Like,
so the kids actually wanted. Of course, I love some of the people that are on. I'm a huge Muhammad Ali fan, but the kids were able to pick individuals that they wanted. And of course, they picked like 100 people, and I'm like,
right,
we're not going to be able to do this. We gotta, she can't
got a
do
budget.
this. Yeah, but Ashley Nora is the artist that actually did this, and she did that in 10 days, man.
Wow.
And something like that would probably take 2 to 3 months. She did it in 10 days, worked 14, 15-hour days, and actually was a stranger when I first met her. When I reached out to her, we wanted to do something. I didn't really know what that was, but we already had someone working on it, and it didn't really work out. So she had to come in, wipe what the person already did, start from scratch. And
Dang.
I've never seen anybody do anything like that. Just it's
and
raw.
it's beautiful.
It's a
You know
gift.
what I mean? Yeah. And I think it brings the whole place together. So I guess as you can see in the background, there's all sorts of game tables, pool, foosball, ping pong. I mean, I guess, what were you like trying to piece together here? Like, were you just trying to make it like a safe place for kids to come hang out, like to stay off the streets and,
Safe haven. That was really the main reason to have our own space, was to have a space where they felt safe and they know they could go. Growing up, we had, a lot more options than what they had, but we still kind of got into trouble. We still did, things that we wasn't supposed to do. As a kid, you're going to get into trouble, but that's
like
the
a youth
biggest
group you
piece.
can go to every day instead of just on Sundays or something,
Something different, man. And to know that you're going to be in a positive environment with, great people, all these different resources. It's just different, man. And it's just so much that happens in that center. I can't even put it on paper, man. Pictures don't do it justice.
Looks like you're working with my alma mater here with U of E. You've done some work with U of E.
Huge shout out to UE. We actually, that was one of the reasons why we got that grant. It was actually a UE professor, Sue, and we worked together on that grant. And I mean, again, $500,000, that's life-changing for our organization to not get money like that. Again, other organizations I know because I know the executive directors and I've worked with them personally to see their budget and our budget. They're like, how are you even doing all of this work?
functioning?
How are you doing this and not paying yourself or not paying the staff? You just strictly going off of volunteers and people just, that have been dedicated since day one. But like I tell people, that just shows the support, the community.
Right. How much
love.
How much, like, when you first started this, like the brick and mortar anyways, the building, like, did you just like you said, you dive in head first to a lot of things and you got to figure out problems along the way. But like when you first got it, like what were some of the things that you were like, this building has to have this? Or
Man, it was the washers and dryers were one of the biggest things. The suits, I had all those suits in my house at one point. A lot of young people, I'll give you a backstory. So I remember going to one of the graduations and a kid was being picked on for not having, you graduate, most people have a nice little dress shirt and a tie. Kid didn't have that. And you could just feel him
felt less
insecure.
yeah,
just didn't feel like he fit in. Everybody was taking pictures. He wouldn't get in the pictures. And I'm like, again, that's stuff that I may notice that other people don't even pay attention to because it wasn't even one of my kids. But I could tell, something wasn't right. So I was able to hook him up with some stuff later, but not, obviously, it was graduation time. But even some of my kids to, deal with hygiene issues or not have, access to a suit or somebody even teach you how to tie a tie.
right.
These kind of things sometimes people take for granted. And I'm like, what can I do? What can we do? So the washers and dryers, the partnership with Men's Warehouse to get all of those suits. And then, of course, computers. During COVID, kids didn't have not all, but a lot of the kids that we work with in certain areas didn't have access to Wi-Fi. So what the schools were trying to do, and a lot of the teachers, shout out to a lot of the teachers, we're trying to go to, these students' houses and drop off a packet of homework, 3 or 4 months of homework. No teacher help, no nothing, because a lot of the kids didn't have access to Wi-Fi, couldn't call, couldn't Zoom and do all of that. So they had to do this homework, and then I would pick it up, bring it back, and the teachers would grade it. So obviously a lot of students wasn't doing the homework,
Right.
and then a lot of students couldn't do it because they just didn't have the help. So a lot of students' grades, they got passed basically without even getting a lot of the work, done.
Right.
So that was a huge issue.
And in this building, you put on some community events. Like you just had just Brandon come in, like a year ago, and bringing some studio equipment to help kids. Like, are you doing this with other things also outside of just music?
We're doing a ton of things. He's as you're scrolling through our Instagram, there's a lot of, this is so much, man, so much content on there. Those washers and dryers, a lot of schools and a lot of my close friends that are teachers are taking kids' clothes home and washing them. I'm like, that's a problem. Every school should have a washer and a dryer. So I reached out to EVSC about that and didn't really get the response I would hope for.
Right.
So I said, you know what? It's really not even about just the money. It's about resources. Everybody has, resources. So I reached out to a few friends, but Kings, huge shout out to Kings. They donated 3 sets for free.
Wow.
Great Buy Plus, right?
Yep.
King's Great Buy Plus.
Donated 3 sets for free. So we put 2 new sets in our center, and then we donated. He picked Carver. That was the school that he graduated. Terry, which is the owner, he graduated from there, and I hope I said the right school because there's so many schools.
Right.
But he told us to donate to his school. We donated, but then again, social media. I said, if I post this and put this out there, how many people can we get to help us out with this? Because there's 20, 30 schools in Evansville that may need, washers and dryers. So we've done 9 so far. But
So this is like an ongoing project.
We're gonna get every school.
You're trying to get a washer and dryer in every school.
Every school.
That's you don't think about that. You know what I mean? Like you don't think that like kids going to school, like you think they're just there to learn, but like really, like school is such a, it should be.
It's a system. They teach you to operate inside the system. Whereas, like,
Yeah, but
you got kids that like see that lady's painting on the wall and they're like, "Man, I want to do that someday."
Yeah, exactly, dude.
But I think it would be cool. I bet Cooper would do it something.
Are you familiar with Cooper? He's from the Fort Branch area. He's an artist.
He's a painter. He painted a basketball court for Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle. Yeah. I actually reached out to him, man.
Did you really?
Yeah,
dude.
It was a while ago.
He's
dope.
Sick, dude.
He's dope. Yeah.
He is sick, and he's been on the show.
His schedule might be semi-free right now. He was doing a bunch of art to go to London. He did a whole gallery over there, but you already passed it.
I was trying to get the number so I didn't misquote. Damn, why am I blind right now? Reference
right there.
Episode for sure 103 was the second.
This is recent.
Yeah,
And
he
then-
just came on. Yeah,
For round 2 after his London show, and then he did one previously around like
Just,
80 something, I believe.
And then also episode 92.
Yeah.
Both about an hour and a half long. Dude is like the first one. We're getting to know Cooper a little bit, so it was a little. He didn't know us. We didn't know him. The second one,
It's fire.
pure gold, man. Like he just opened up. It was like buddies talking, dude. It was really, really cool. And he's just done a lot of great stuff.
What do you think one of the biggest things that you've done since you've got the building that just like took the breath away from you? Like that was just like a humbling moment of like, wow, I was able to
Like really made you stop and just be like thankful.
And I would say actually, there's so many, but and it's actually a close friend of mine helping them raise money for their son that had cancer, and man, it was tough to actually. So my wife, she's close with them, and they needed help raising money and different things because it's expensive, and you don't really know. Which they didn't even really put it all on Facebook like that, but of course people wanted to know how they could help, but to be behind the scenes and see what they were going through and how they were dealing with it, positive, but still seeing. And I have a child. I have a 2-year-old now. Well, she'll be 2 on the 24th, but to see them be strong for him as he was battling cancer. And I'm just like, man, it'd be times where I had to step out, of the hospital room and I would cry, and they would just be so strong. And to help them, raise money to get food or gas or whatever, that was a big deal, for me to be able to use our organization to bring awareness, to that situation.
Just a lending hand,
pass.
yeah.
He did ended up passing, but just to see how strong they were and just to be, next to them and just to help. I just wanted to do something, and that's a big one. That's the first one.
That's one thing that I wonder too. Is like you got to be somewhat empathetic in this industry, but like if you are too empathetic, you're taking it home. You know what I mean? Like like you're like that loss of a child, an innocent life to cancer, but like that affected you for probably weeks.
Still, it still does for sure.
But like how do you deal with that? Like seeing all this bad, and you're doing good or whatever, but like how do you not let that bad like rub off on you?
Man, it was hard to find that balance, because a lot of people don't understand what you see on a day-to-day basis. So when you hear community, you do a lot of great things, but then you don't see the behind the scenes stuff. A young man suicidal, calling you to tell you that he's ready to kill himself. That type of stuff. Like you said, you don't want to take that home with you, but you do. There's no way that you cannot think about, someone that is dealing with depression, and you want to be there for him, but he has literally no father, no mother that's helping, nobody around, and he's just calling you.
That's like the lifeline.
Yeah, to help. This is it. And those kind of things, man, over the years, I got some stuff that, that I still think about to this day. And I got a ton of them, man, that, kept me up at night.
What, so, I mean, as we're flipping through these, you've got books there, safe reading spaces. Oh, man. Wow, I got another burp.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Are you teaching?
Tighten up. Tighten up, man.
Like, are you teaching?
He's gonna explode, dude.
But like, I assume you're teaching like coping mechanisms, like therapy and stuff, or like what's this video here next to the career fair?
I'm scared to click on anything. Okay, no, because I don't want the noise to like blow my eardrums out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm glad, because some of them it's pretty loud on some of these. But yeah, we just yoga, man, teaching them something different. None of them ever did yoga in life. So, of course, they were, what is this? We don't want to do this. But when they did it, they were relaxed, super calm after. And I'm just like, these are things that, we want to expose our kids to different things. Of course, you got some of them that's going to clown you. And like I said, they don't want to do it.
Dude,
but,
hold on. This kid's got me cracking up right here, man. He kind of looks like a zombie or something.
Man, probably fell asleep. I'm telling you, it's relaxing, man, because
yeah, dude.
There's just a lot of things like coping mechanisms, like that people don't even realize. Like in school, they don't teach you to like breathe. You know what I mean? Like, but there's more efficient or calming ways to breathe. Or things along those lines that are huge. This chess thing. So what made you want to teach kids chess? I'm on a huge chess binge right now.
Man, you said that earlier, so I was like, I know we probably touch on it. I love chess. So growing up, everybody wants to play football and basketball. I wanted to do something different. I'm like, this is a thinking game. And once I played, I loved it. So I actually, at Lodge, had my first real tournament, got third place. Wanted to win. Obviously, I was upset.
So you're good. So you're pretty good.
Man, that was a long time ago. I've played some people. Ben, the guy that I showed you, one of our interns,
the one on the right.
I don't think anybody can beat him. I'll put
He's
money
good.
on it. Yeah, I put money on him.
I got my guy in Amsterdam that'll play on chess.com.
Yeah, I'm thinking you were gonna say you. I was gonna say I'll let you play him, and I'll put some money up behind him. He's just man, he's cold.
But a lot of people don't realize like the game can relate to life, in some ways,
Moves, man.
Patience, planning,
everything.
Strategic.
People don't think about that stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Like a lot of people just kind of and I figure, or I assume, and it's probably not best for one to assume, but like you almost want to think that that's kind of like how some of these kids have found themselves in the spots that they've found themselves in because their parents, they weren't playing this game of chess and they were just kind of like not strategically moving through life. They were just kind of like going through life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so like chess is a really, that's, you can come at that a lot of different ways.
Well, like just
you know what I mean?
The movie I referenced earlier is actually called Life is King, and it's talking about the janitor guy, but he went to jail for drugs. He was like the drug pin, the high up guy, and the guy that took over. He's teaching these kids, and he's like, so who? He's like, there's one troublemaker in the room doesn't want to play. He's mixed in with the guys that sell drugs and everything. And he's like, so who's your supplier? And the guy was like, I'm not, whatever. And he's like, all right, so you're a pawn and your supplier is the king. You know what I mean? And you're out here making pawn moves. And this guy's life's not at risk, but your life is, because you're moving like a pawn. You're not moving, he's like, this king is your life,
You're not moving like a bishop, Man. Dude, I'm telling you, but like, that's a cool game to teach young kids because like it really is applicable in so many different ways to life. But the most generic way you can attach it to life is that like life is a game. And if you're strategic about it and you think about your move before you do it.
Well, not even your move, but their response to your move.
It's I think that's really, really cool that, and obviously these pieces are, I guess, like super, super large, or these children are just really, really small.
Nah, I want the big one.
Okay.
The smaller ones is
I thought maybe
cool,
these were like miniature human beings or something. Okay. No, I just got to double check. So anyways, these are these are extra large chess pieces. This is really cool though. Like,
but like you're teaching kids chess, or you're teaching kids all these different, basically.
Do you teach them openings?
Yeah, listen, so I want to get back to what you said about because I'm glad you brought that up. There's a reason why we wanted that one. So I even had it.
The large pieces.
The large pieces. Because when they come in, I had it right in the front. So the first, when you open the doors, you can see like the doors.
The front doors right there.
So as soon as you come in, that's probably the first thing you're going to see. So a lot of the kids were like, what is this? Some already kind of knew, but really didn't play that much. But when you get the big board out, it's a little different playing, man. I love to just have it out in the open because a lot of kids would see it and I just want to go over there just because I just want to see, what it is. Yeah. What is this game? And then
it catches your eye. It's so
does.
large.
Yeah, man.
You're like, I've seen this before, but not like this. Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah, so it was hard to find those too, but somebody actually donated it to me because he knew I like chess. But yeah, that was the reason why we got.
Did you have to arm wrestle him for it, or did he just give it to you?
I had to play him, and he demolished me. But still, I was like, yeah, I need to practice more. He's another one that is just elite. I mean, he's way out there,
He's up there with old Amsterdam boy.
Yeah, he's probably now. He can probably, he can probably get with your guy, man. I don't know.
Oh, dude, don't.
Yeah,
this
he
guy
can probably get with your guy.
I will say he has graduated because before chess, he had this obsession with. I don't even want to say the name of the game, but it was a stupid cell phone game, and it was like
it used to be a browser game, and you would build up your village, and you could take over other people's stuff. You'd make offensive villages, defensive villages.
Don't even say the name.
Yeah, you had to be on like if you were asleep, somebody could attack you while you were asleep.
Man,
so like.
I haven't heard of it.
And it was like 180 days to win a world, and I won like every world I played. I'm like top ranked in the U.S., but like it takes too much time. 180 days, and you can be attacked 24/7 in that time. Like
you're gonna be on it all the time.
And he was grinding on it, and I'm like, dude, we're running a podcast here. I was like, what the fuck? Like, pardon my language. What the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? So he's like, hold on, I haven't slept in 4 days.
You're doing math to send attacks, so they land at the exact same second. Because everything's distance. But I switched it to chess because it's still a strategic game.
Most definitely.
And it makes me think way more than what I ever thought in this other game. But then like you can edit, the podcast or whatever. But as soon as 45 minutes in, you're like, oh man, I'm getting kind of burnt out. And you can just go play 2 games of chess and then turn that off and then go do something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chess. Everybody should play chess, man.
I
just don't get obsessed like I have.
I've tried. It's when I got into the literature of everything, like getting into. There's like hundreds of different openings that you can learn. There's different geographical strategies, like North America versus East Asia or whatever. Like people play chess different, and you have to learn all this stuff to even be like slightly competitive. And then you have to have the brain power to be able to like compute. Yeah, and I don't have that.
I'm not at that level. Now, when I say I love to play chess, I'm not saying that I'm like. Because that's the first thing when you say you love to play chess, people just put you like, oh, you must be. No.
Your IQ's got to be up here.
Yeah, I'm decent, man. I can beat some people, but when it comes to people that are just out of here, like
Yeah.
Ben and Chris. He's the one that gave me that board. They're just, really, really good, man.
Built different.
Yeah, it's some people are just, they're really, really good, man. They don't really have to practice.
They got the RAM, dude. They got the extra RAM upstairs. I don't,
got
dude.
it, man.
I'm peaked out right now.
How soon did you start making merch? Like you're wearing one today.
We got to talk about that. You got some sick merch. It's on. I saw you got a bunch of models and stuff. Kind of modeling your
people I know, man.
Yeah, but you've got a ton of T-shirts, hoodies.
Yeah, that's Victor Oladipo.
These ball caps. So you got tons of stuff. So like, how long into it did you how long had you been doing it before you started the merch?
I started day one.
Day one.
See,
when I told you about the members
slipping.
only, y'all don't have. Yeah, well, you had something on earlier, I thought.
Yeah, that was like a knockoff hoodie that we had originally started. But like this hoodie you have on right now, where can somebody find that?
So I used to have it on our website, man. We used to push them orders out, but I was early stages doing all the orders, mailing them. So I was like, nah, I think we got to go a different route. So you can reach out to us online, whether it's Facebook or on our website, and we always got, some gear, or you can just stop by the center, and we always have merch. Like, we sold a ton of stuff at that.
Oh, you just have it in
shop.
store.
What about
if you don't mind me asking, just peeking behind the curtain, asking because we run a business.
Mm-hmm.
So on a business to business level, do you just order in bulk and then hold everything in person basically at this point? And then if someone reaches out to you, you can mail it to them, or like you said, if they come into the store?
It depends. So we should have an online store. I know. I think that's where you were going to go with it here in a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
But it was just so much, man, to manage. Now they have a ton of different options. You don't even have to touch anything. People can go in there and build their own.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't really pulled the trigger on that as far as just bringing that back, because there's a lot of people from all over that actually want to start buying our stuff again. But yeah, I do sometimes. I just like to wear a lot of it, so I may buy something and make it myself so I can wear it. But of course, we do have a lot of stuff from hats to hoodies, crew necks. We got a little bit of everything, but I get overwhelmed by the clothes, because you could do socks, you could do wristbands, headphones.
And not even is that overwhelming, but just your occupation alone,
man,
is you're swamped all the time.
Because how many kids do you think come in there?
40 to 50 is where we're at, and that's just
and that's daily.
Space. That's daily. Monday through Friday, we have after school programming, so we do 2:30 to 5:30. But in between, so I mentioned marketing. I do have a marketing company, established marketing, and then I'm a life coach. I do mentoring, and then I work with the Evansville Promise Zone, which is a nonprofit as well. So. And then on top of other things, I like to do events.
Dad
man.
Life and family.
I didn't even bring that up. Social life and
a lot to juggle.
You did mention, you have a 2-year-old. I mean, that's not that baby's not raising itself.
Man, my wife's doing a good job too. But yeah, man, the family life, just that balance.
What helps keep you organized? Because that's a lot, man. To sit down and do you just have a lot of times for everything, and you've kind of mastered that schedule, or
routine? And of course, I have help. I never want to act like I'm doing everything by myself, but just a routine. You had mentioned something earlier. I wanted to touch on it, but I know we got past it. I forgot. But basically, we were talking about discipline and different things. But I do have a routine. I love to get up early. Everybody still sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. I can read, meditate. Yeah, most people. I can just get a lot of things done when I get up early. And those are, some of the things we had talked about, just dealing with the pressure, the stress, and that stuff that I have to do. I have to get my mind right before I start the day.
I was talking to my wife about this the other day. We're both very physically active individuals. For people out there that don't work out daily or a lot, or at least, more than once a week or twice a week, for people like that, I don't know how they get rid of their day or their yesterday. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and work out, or sometimes I'll just wake up at 5, go to work, and then I work out after work. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how people manage. I don't know how they
manage with other things that aren't good for them.
Angst, stress, anger, anxiety, all this shit that piles up on top of you, and your job is already difficult. I'm not obviously speaking specifically to like your job is extremely difficult. Like it's very stressful. It's a lot. It's a lot what you're doing. You're like Batman. You know what I mean? But like
Appreciate that,
with
man.
foosball tables. You know what I mean? You're like Batman with foosball tables and probably not as cool of a car. But
no, definitely not.
But like my point is that like if you don't get up and like move your body or do something that's healthy for you, read a book or whatever, like how do people like you've got to have that hour a day where you're just like, I gotta do something to get rid of this anxiety or this stress or this hate or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I just don't know how people get by in life without doing that.
What's a good book you read in the last year or two?
I'm actually reading. Man, it was crazy. I was thinking about it as we were talking because you scroll down and I saw Mattingly Charities on there. Stephen A. Smith has.
That dude's wild.
Yeah, I'm not a big.
Wild.
I don't want to say I'm not a big fan. I understand, some of the things where he comes from. He's one of those people that sometimes I just really disagree. But my mom got me his book, man, and just popped up with it. And she knows if she gets me a book, I'm gonna read. I'll read any book.
Right.
Yeah,
I just love to read. But a lot of the books that I read are obviously stuff that's gonna help me grow and motivational and all that good stuff. But I'm reading his book now, but I'm good friends with Don Mattingly, and he was in the book. I'm like, he's naming all of these New York Yankee guys. Like, he's naming the heavy hitters.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he mentioned, like, my dad also he's talking about his pops in his book, and he's like, Don Mattingly. I'm like, that's crazy. This dude is so big that people don't even realize it sometimes, man. And New York gives him way more love sometimes, I feel like. But I guess because we see him all the time. I don't know. But there's a lot of people that say that too. Like, I think some people don't realize how big Don Mattingly is, man.
He's a monster, dude.
Yeah.
He just sold. Didn't he have a team? Didn't he own a team?
No, he didn't own a team. He actually just picked up another contract. So he's going to another team. I don't know if it's the Blue Jays. I don't know. I know it's Canada.
Oh, okay.
It's where he's
Do you prefer to read your books versus like audiobook?
Read, man. I can't do. I like to just feel the book, and then I mark all my books up too. So
Tangible in your hand.
I have to have it, and then it's terrible to say, but I don't give my books away either because I marked it up. I'm like, it's mine now, and I sometimes go back to it. I'll buy you a book. Yeah,
Right.
I'll buy it.
That's what first time I read like Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, dude,
Man,
my
fire.
friend's got to read this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wrote my like back in the school days, like you write your name and your number in the book, and then like I'd like, all right, you can borrow it, and then I never get the book back.
I see.
You know what I mean? And so I started doing that. I was like, you got to read
man.
this book, but I'll just order it on
Fun
Amazon
fact.
to your house.
Fun fact on the book thing. There's this whole like underground black market book society. They're like the Illuminati, but for books. Okay. And they have these like telephone poles. Oh, not even. They're like mailbox posts. Yay tall. And they are like this big plexiglass box. Have you ever seen one of these?
They're like community reads.
Oh
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
We got one at the center.
So when you read a book and you finish it and you're like, oh, that was a good book, but like I can live without it. Then you just like go to one of these community reads and drop it off, and then you pull one out. So it's kind of the basic rule of thumb is like you drop a book, you grab a book. It's pretty cool though.
So we had one. I don't know why I said I don't know. I jumped the gun, man, until you actually explained
So
it.
if you're into the book boxes or whatever you call them, community reads, there's one at Y&E. So check that out, dude.
We keep it filled up too, and it actually is kind of cool to see a lot of people coming to grab books and you know putting the books back, and whether it's on the camera or when we're actually at the center, people would just pull up and grab a book. And
is yours outside?
Just outside.
It's outside. Okay,
What,
there you go. Stop on by. And where is the brick and mortar? Where you guys?
1308 Van Avenue.
Van Avenue. Okay,
Yeah.
East Side. Dude.
How do people get involved? Like if somebody wants to volunteer to help out?
So they can either, follow us on social media to keep up with all the events that we have, our website, but then also just word of mouth. I mean, we have so many different things coming up and things that people can get involved in with our projects. We just posted the Granddaddy's Garden spot, which there's a whole backstory to that, but just our own community garden.
Which is dope. I mean, like I got into gardening, and like I like anything I get into, I go in a little too deep. and I just do a whole bunch of research on it. You know what I mean?
Way,
Like
man.
I'm like my garden shits on all my neighbors, and they're like all older. Like I'm big on like the microbiome of my soil, so I'm like composting using non-synthetic stuff, all organic.
Worm poop, if you were curious.
Worm poop.
Worm poop is an excellent.
Yeah, worm castings is the proper term.
I thought you just called it.
No, it's worm castings.
I call it worm.
Yeah,
worm shit.
But
That's
a lot
what
of
it
people
is.
don't like.
Let's just be,
like you can
let's
have your own
be-
worm farm. You know what I mean? And you
Man,
just
there's so
instead
many
of throwing
things.
stuff out, you just throw it in there, and they eat it, and
Yeah.
it composts
But also,
down.
can we just open up to the fact that if you own a worm farm, like, you might be a weird guy.
See, I might be into it, man. I don't know.
It's cool.
It's stuff like he said. Like, so, for instance, right? And it's crazy to me because people might look at me and think a certain way. So I love plants, right? So my wife does too. We have a ton of plants at our house, and we have a ton of plants at the center. But you know, a lot of kids when they would get to know us, like, why does she have so many plants? I'm like, man, these are mine. Some of these are mine. They're looking at me like, what? But yeah, I'm into a lot of things. Sometimes, man, people may
Yeah.
if that'll be, something that'll help the garden. I don't know, man.
Do
We're gonna
some
have to look
research.
into that, 'cause
You can
that's
buy
huge.
worm casting too.
Yeah.
Like, look into it. It's
That might
really
be
neat.
something that we
Yeah,
have
it's
to look
cool.
into because the
We had
garden
a-
is going to be huge.
We had a mushroom. Was it the mushroom hunter?
David Ham, but he actually now has.
Was he the one that told us about the castings though?
No, I think I mentioned it, but
Yeah.
he also just started his own social media thing, like TikTok, where he goes and talks about plants. But he's one of these crazy smart guys where he can tell you like the Greek is that what they use for like the nomenclature of like this is a spictus superchondra or whatever.
I got
you
to
know?
meet, man. I got a meeting.
Yeah, he works at Kiwi's nursery here in town, a plant nursery.
Yeah, episode 52 for anyone who's wanting to go back and listen to that one. Yeah, David Ham. Really cool guy, man.
I have to check him out.
Yeah, we have a ton of cool people.
Yeah,
on
any
here,
of our
dude.
people we can hook you up with after.
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm gonna have to really dive deep. Like I said, I didn't really get to dive like I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I like to do research and
So what
Nice
are
to
what are
see.
some of these upcoming events that you got going on?
You got anything dog-eared that you're looking forward to, or?
yeah. So we do a black and white charity ball. Again, I love to throw events, man. We do a black and white charity ball that's been huge over the past few years, and I don't know if it's 7, 8. It's 7. I should know, but we have so many annual events. I forget sometimes. But we do it at the Evansville Country Club. It's the most diverse event, man. You get literally everybody from news anchors to college students to teachers to lawyers to just cool people in general that come and just have a good time. We don't do, the awards and all the stuff. You just come, drink, have fun, and support a great cause. And it just grows every year. I mean,
And what is that called?
The black and white charity ball that we do.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a masquerade. People can still wear it if they want to, but we kind of took that off. But yeah, it's one of our biggest fundraisers. So before we, got this big funding that we just got,
That's the only way you got money was through fundraising and
Yeah.
branding and merch.
So
Huge.
what are the prerequisites to get into the black and white party? It sounds exclusive.
No, it's for everybody. Actually, you just have to wear all black or all white, or you can wear black and white and get a ticket before they sell out. That's
Does it have to be a tuxedo? Does it have to be a suit?
It could be a suit or a tux. You can't. Yeah, it's formal, definitely.
So it's a formal outwear.
Yeah, you
is a
can't show up in
formal
a
outfit.
cow inflatable.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't
Nah,
show
nah,
up
nah.
in like a black Adidas, like Russian might have just beat some dude's knees in sweatsuit.
Yeah, nah. We want to keep it
You're
formal.
not. You're not
man.
Sopranos friendly, is what I'm getting. That's the vibe you're putting out right now.
You got to
You're
have
like, hey,
a tux or a suit.
mafiosos, pick your food up out back, bro. No violence in here. Hey, and fucking know that before you show up.
Yeah,
no, it
man.
sounds neat though, man. That sounds really, really cool. And like, you get all kinds of people there.
You do, and that's one of the things that I used to go to a lot of black and white balls and galas, and just wasn't feeling the vibe too much, man, and didn't get to dance, and people it was kind of stiff at times. So
Yeah.
and it was pretty expensive too. So we only charge $60 for a ticket. And just the experience that you get. There's food, of course. You your cash bar, but just the atmosphere and the people that you meet. One thing too, we always tell people you'll meet some amazing people, and that's what we've seen over the years. And people can tell you that themselves.
Dude, I'm in on this.
It's
When
good
is
networking,
when is
man,
this?
Too.
When is
on
this?
the 25th? We give
25th of
y'all free
February?
tickets. Yeah.
So this episode will have dropped by then.
Yeah, this episode comes out not this Tuesday, but
Yeah, we record in advance, so we want to make sure we're putting the right dates out.
I understand.
But they have time. So when do you stop selling tickets? Up to the day of the event?
It depends. So, country club is like, you guys are now at the point where you're taking over the whole building. So
Can you
we
just
like
not
to put
tell them to suck it and just be like, hey man,
look,
this is for a good cause, bro. Why don't you back up?
yeah, until the fire department shows
I
up.
know.
Hey, if we want to party in the parking lot, we're gonna party in the parking lot. You hear me? No,
But we get so many people that old, young, black, white, doesn't matter. But a lot of people, it's 9 to 2. So a lot of people don't stay until 2. So it kind of helps because some young folks like to come late. You know how that goes.
Right.
No, the party don't start until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Yeah,
midnight for some.
Yeah,
so we do get a bunch of people that'll show up early, and then they may leave right when the next wave comes in. So that does help because if we had everybody at once, you're talking well over 400, 500 people, and it's a huge event. Country club, they make a killing at that bar, man.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
People come to drink and have fun.
All right, so if you sell out of tickets, I'm gonna
we got y'all.
okay, because I got a nice
we got you, man.
black and white suit. Like I'm stretched, ready to go.
We got you.
I don't know about homeboy over here
What
though.
you got, man?
Dude,
I'll find something.
He's got some house slippers and a nice set of PJs, dude.
Man, I got 2 tickets for both of y'all, man.
I appreciate that.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
man. That's cool. Like I do want to come to, and that's on a Friday or a Saturday night.
It's on a Saturday, and we actually have on our Facebook page and on our website. But if you want to go to Young and Established,
Let's pull
well,
that
it's
up.
the 7th annual Black and White Ball. We also have our own event page for it, so you can click on that. But yeah, man, it's definitely a great event. You'll meet some cool people, and who knows?
This is
some
you right
people,
here. Okay,
Yeah,
here we
so-
go. And you're able to sell tickets on here.
So it's Eventbrite. So there's a link on there. You may be able to find it quicker on the Facebook.
On the book face. Here we
Yeah.
go.
But yeah, you just click on that, man, and we have tickets on there, and that's a really, really cool event. And there's some other events we haven't put out yet. We're just focusing on the Black and White Ball. But after the show, I'd love to talk to you all about. You mentioned
100%.
Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get involved in some stuff too, like when
Yeah.
I have the free time. You know what I mean? Just to
For
even
sure.
come check it out, even just to play some kids in chess. That'll probably beat me. Just
Man, they enjoy it. New people coming in, they love it. It's all about building relationships. But we have a ton of things planned after the Black and White Ball. We'll start shooting stuff out. I mean, we're up to like 14 events a year, man. We do,
Dude, you're a busy man.
man. We add so much every year.
Sheesh.
Our board and our team is like, okay, maybe we should.
Is
It's
it-
like the pop up shop. That was just like, let's do a pop up shop. It's
I
not
was
hard
about to say, does anybody ever look at you and they're like, "Yo, Courtney,
Yeah,
let's
for
chill out.
sure.
Let's
For
chill
sure.
out, bro.
I'm like, nah, we're good. Let's
Nah,
keep moving.
Yeah, dump the clutch,
Man, just
stay
keep
on the
going.
gas.
Keep going, because again, you got a strong support system too, and then you got a lot of people that want to get out and do things, man, and giving back. There's always something that we got for everybody. Maybe you don't want to mentor kids, but we have a backpack drive, or maybe a food drive. We have so many different things that we do throughout the year.
Do you think you'll ever like have businesses to where they can like sponsor a kid, like to where the Days Grimm could sponsor
Oh,
like
yeah,
one
that'd be
kid?
sick.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
that. We do that.
You do that?
for different events. Like for instance, our backpack drive. You can sponsor, 2 kids, or if you
Right.
like you said, just one, whatever you want to do.
We're
But
extremely poor, like on the business level. You know what I mean? We don't make a lot of money.
No, but it'd be
We
cool.
got- we
It'd be
got some
cool to
stuff.
like help somebody that's mentoring a kid. Like if the kid needed supplies whenever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just to message us, and we
with
take
that.
care of whatever that one kid needed.
Yeah, I'm with
We
that.
got a ton of that. Yeah, there's several things where that's coming up too that we can send to you if you guys want to get.
And then
involved
before we get to the wrapping up part, what makes you
I
run
got
for
one,
city
too.
council?
Oh, we didn't even
Oh,
really
you
mention
said
that.
what make?
Yeah,
what made me
like
wanna run?
what brought that passion? Because I mean, you're clearly a member of the community on a higher level. I think you're giving back. You're touching so many people. I mean, like you said, you got 45 kids that come in regularly. You're touching not only them but their parents, their family. You're helping out. I mean, 45 different households, which is
Yeah.
huge. So
like, it's something I actually been involved in for a while. Behind the scenes, I've helped with a lot of campaigns and different things, but just some of the things that have happened and taken place over the years, man, I was like, maybe it's not for me, but I feel like I've been serving, man, for 10 plus years and giving back, and this community is I love it. It's home, and whatever I can do to, pour back into it. And I think this was that next step. So I never want to feel stagnant, which I'm not saying that I am, but I was like, what's that next?
You can get more done at that level than what you can at.
Yeah. I still feel like we get a lot done at this level, but I was like, I want to, what's that next step? I want to go to that next level. And I think that next level was that, just to get into politics, but then also to just make some change, man. And there's certain things that I obviously,
was that your one thing of the year to do that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, or do you got like another skydive coming up? Or?
No, I don't have another skydive. That is one. I can't say what the other thing is at the moment. I don't say it until I get close to it. But some of the things that I have done, man, I went to China, randomly went to China. That was
swim with sharks. Did you do that?
Yeah. Okay, first off, going to China, terrible. Or not terrible, terrifying.
Man, it was the Great Wall of China. I always wanted to go.
That's pretty sick. I don't know why I said terrible. I meant terrifying.
Man, I got to do that.
Scary times to be there.
Man, listen, just to randomly go, you know, and travel that far. That was the first time I've, went that
sick,
far.
Dude.
It was 13 hours, but even traveling to go to the Great Wall was like 4 hours. It was something crazy. A lot of people don't speak English. I was just kind of out there, but
You're
that
just
was one
surviving
thing.
off like sun and moon and cardinal directions.
Man, crazy.
North, south, east, west.
Telling you, but yeah, swimming. I don't know how to swim, which is crazy. I'm gonna learn, but to just put a life jacket on and jump out there, and man, it was terrifying to see. What'd you say?
What are some of the other things?
Man, okay, we said skydive. One of the things was I'm not afraid to do public speaking, but I did a TED Talk, man, and just to know that something's going to be on YouTube, man, I was terrified, man.
You did? You've already done it?
Yeah, I've already done it. They had.
He's our second TED Talk. You're our second TED Talker.
Man, that right there,
that's big.
Like this stuff. I mean, getting on the news. I feel like we do a news interview like twice a week. So, and I did radio on TV at USI, so I love it. But that was a little different, man. And
in front of people live, and they're just hanging on your every word.
And they have a camera the size of that TV, man, and you can actually see how big the lens is, zooming in. I'm just like, hold on, man.
This is terrifying.
I was like, I can't.
Did you do okay?
I did pretty decent, but I think you obviously can tell that I'm nervous, man.
No, for sure.
I changed my my whole thing like an hour before, and you're not supposed to take a paper up there, and I took one up there. I didn't read from it, but it was like, just
Cliff
back
notes.
up. Yeah,
Cliff notes.
But
Ready
I talked
on
about
standby.
the fear of failure. And I mentioned a lot of things just being...
You got to have that, though.
Man, you got to.
You think you're going to write a book someday?
Actually, I have a book out, but it's note to self. But I definitely want to, put a book out about just my life.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm not there yet.
Dude, I'm sitting here. We're an hour and a half in or something, and I'm literally hanging on everywhere. I love everything that you got that you're bringing to the table. I feel like, damn, I had one question before we wrapped this up, and you just blew past me, and I had a really good one. Damn it. Anyways, all right. So, leading into we like to ask near the end of the show, kind of like through this venture that you've been through the last 10 plus years of, like you said yourself, pouring into the community. Has there ever been a moment that, whether it be personal or, through your work out in the community, that you were just like, hold up, like so dark that you were just like, hold up, is this really what I want to do? Like, really made you almost like question yourself, like, this is terrible, or like, this god awful thing happened to me and now I'm uncertain. And then if you don't want to get into great detail of that happenstance, that's fine. What we care about the most is your answer of what helped you prevail through that moment.
What pulled you through it? What kept fuel on your fire?
That's a great question, man. A lot of people don't talk about, these kind of things, which I think is all important. But I think after COVID, I was so busy during COVID. I was just busy, going out, serving, helping. But I think that really caught up with me after just what I saw and what I was dealing with, because, you know, I say I was delivering food, but you don't understand where
the houses were, what the situation was like.
And then people depending on you. I'm getting a phone call or a text message at 1:00. I didn't have, you know, my family at the time, but I wasn't married and didn't have a daughter. So I was, you know, just trying to do and be everywhere to help. But to get a phone call or to get a text from, you know, a single mother of 4, are you coming today? Because we're basically not going to eat unless you bring that food. Just that pressure of that, you know, you can't just not pick the phone up or not text back and go back to sleep or just say, oh, I'm busy today. I just want to take a day off. No, like, this person is dependent on you to bring, you know, them food so they can eat. And that was pressure, you know. So during that time, I was just so busy. A lot of people, I don't want to say they were, you know, at home relaxing, because, again, it was a stressful time, but I was still working. Right. I was running a nonprofit, and we opened our community center because of the huge need. But after that, after, you know, COVID kind of slowed down, I think it hit me, the George Floyd and all the stuff that was going on, man. You know, me dealing with some of those issues with police brutality. I've had my own run-ins and situations right here in Evansville that, you know, a lot of people know more about it now, but all of that just kind of caught up with me. And I think that was probably one of my darkest moments after I was depressed. And I'm not afraid to talk about it or to say it, but to be able to pull yourself out of that. And I was in the midst of having a daughter. Yeah, we were having our baby girl. Just people telling you that, you know, just get out, you know, get out and go do this, or get up. You don't know what depression feels like. Right. If you can just say, you know, you just need to get up. It's tough, you know, when you're dealing with something. And mentally, I feel like I've always been strong. And like you said, I work out. So physically, and you don't know until you've been in that situation. And that was probably the darkest moment, just watching a video of a man being choked out and seeing myself in that video.
What pulls you through that? What gets you out of that moment?
Man, faith, and then also family. And then, of course, you got to find things that
alleviate that pressure.
Yeah, man. And I love to be around my family. And I mentioned in the midst of that, having a daughter. She just, you know, that changes everything.
That fire for you,
man. But yeah, man, I pulled myself out of it, and I'm great, obviously mentally now, but just to know that you can slip into that and not just pour. I got to pour back into myself as well, because I felt like I was just doing. Right. And that's one of the things. Now I have a family. I can't just, you know, be on call at all times. 5:30 after the center closes, and I take all the kids home and all of that. I'm at home. Now, people still, you know, may text and call, but just, I can't jump up and just be there for everybody when I have 2 people depending on me at all times. But just finding that balance, you know, family, all my jobs, community work. It's been a journey, man. But I think I found that balance now of, you know, I mentioned getting up at 5 a.m, just taking that time for myself, getting my mind right, doing what I need to do. But yeah, that's kind of one of the stuff. It was a dark time, man, and to work with other people and with mental health. We scrolled past one of the events that we had. Actually, this is one of the mental health events that we had. We brought 2 gentlemen down to talk about it, and some of the stories those young people shared. Happiest people. You never would have known I was suicidal, or, you know, I had a gun to I'm just hearing that stuff, and I'm like, man, you never know what some of these young people are going through. And then think about being that young going through COVID.
Right. And then having all that on top of your disposition that you're already dealing with.
It's a lot. And to hear them say that, you know, it was pretty tough to listen and hear, because some of those kids, school is, I get to escape from abusive parent, or, you know, seeing somebody doing drugs at home. Like, I get to go to school and be normal, you know. To hear these stories, people don't think about that. You know, COVID, we got to stay at home and enjoy. You know, some people do have that story and some people don't. You know, not being able to go to school and get away from the madness at home. That's, you don't think about those things until you actually talk to a young person. But I was hearing these things, and again, that is heavy on you, man.
It's also motivation to keep doing what you're doing.
Most definitely.
Last minute shout outs.
Yeah, last minute shout outs. The last couple minutes is all up to you, man.
Last minute shout outs.
Any events, any dates, any people you want to thank, anybody that definitely you're going to show this episode to, make sure you say their name. But anything.
Man, that's a lot of people. Man,
that's all you do.
Shout out everybody, but nah. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my wife and my daughter, man. That's my heart. And then of course, shout out to you guys for just reaching out, man. And I appreciate the opportunity. It was great. I love it, man. Hopefully I can come back.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have you on again.
I hope so, dude.
One of our regulars.
You got to make time for us, though. That's the thing.
I made time today, man. I can do that.
I know you're a busy man, dude. So, no, man, seriously, you could have been doing anything for the last couple hours. So it's an event coming out here. You know what I mean? You got to take time out of your day, and I greatly appreciate that. And I know Thomas does
Likewise.
as well. He is a dirtbag, just so we're clear. So I'm definitely more thankful than he is. But no, just your overall persona, you don't judge. You're very unique, and I appreciate a person like you. So just seriously, I can't tell you enough. Your story is phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing it with us. Seriously, I had a blast today.
Thank you,
seriously.
Man. Thank you.
This has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm, guys. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm, and this has been Courtney with Young and Established.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys.